What is up, gamers? So we got the patch notes for tonight's patch. This is going to go live at 7 p.m. Pacific, aka 10 p.m. Eastern time tonight. These are usually a little bit early as well. I would say it could go live at 9 or 9:30 Eastern. So deduct about an hour to half an hour from that. I'll be live here on YouTube to check it out. There's not a lot. There's really just two uniforms for Gamora and Star-Lord. But I'll still be live to check it out. I'll still be roasting the Patreons, etc. It'll be a good time, not a long time. Let's put it that way. So let's check out what they've got for us, and then we'll talk about maybe what the next couple weeks of this game are gonna look like for the majority of people. So we got Star-Lord's new uniform. He's a Wastelander now. He has the Weapon Master, Command, and Guardians of the Galaxy tag, which is exactly the same as what he had before. Nothing here has changed at all. His uniform effect, 20% chain hit increase and 30% guaranteed dodge, is almost the same as his old uniform. It's just bumping the chain hit by 5%. Then we've got his ultimate ability, his tier 3 ability, somehow getting changes. I can't really tell what's getting changed. Most of these numbers are exactly the same, 50, 40, 80, 8 seconds, etc. These all look exactly the same. So, yeah, I don't know. You tell me. I have no idea. His leadership is going to 65% increase energy attack for blast types, up from 60%, so just a couple of fives here and there. His tier 2 passive with crit damage 20%, guaranteed crit rate 30%, and then the skill damage bonus damage. First two lines are the same, and then it's just the skill damage bonus damage that's being bumped by 5%. And then he's getting an increase of energy attack and ignore dodge. His Ravager passive is exactly the same. They just changed the name. Actually, they didn't change the name. The original is called Link with the Milano. They changed it to Ravager's Instinct like 1 or 2 uniforms ago. So it's not actually new. I think really the only difference here, if you take a look at his skills 1 through 5, there's no orange text, there's no iframe ignore, there's no counter attack, there's no ignore iframe, this kind of thing. The only big difference I would say that will matter to his playstyle is the cooldown. They've lowered the cooldown on his 5th skill from 18 seconds to 16 seconds. And again, that doesn't seem like a lot, but that's the difference between a 9-second cooldown, which is annoying, and an 8-second cooldown, which is actually very, very good because it synchronizes more carefully with a proc or a rage, CTP. The rest of his skills have pretty much the same cooldown as before, 14 seconds, 12 seconds, 10 seconds, and then 8 seconds. If you see from his skills, he has Burn and Silence on one ability, and then he has Snare and Fracture on another. So he has 2 ABX abilities and 2 ABL abilities, but he is missing, I believe, Paralysis and Shock. So he will need to get those from somewhere, aka Tier 4 Striker. As for the rest of the kit here, the accumulation, 1.2% is the same. The 50% all attack is up from 45%, but is basically the same. They did double his heal from 20% to 40%, which is very, very nice. Like doubling the heal is nice. And then the invincibility goes up from 3 seconds to 4 seconds, so he should feel tankier to play. But otherwise, this feels like the uniform that he should have gotten a couple of years ago, right? It's such a small upgrade for him that it feels like the uniform he should have gotten a couple of years ago. Not really sure what they're thinking here. And then Gamora gets her Wastelander's uniform. She has the Agility, Weapon Master, and Guardians of the Galaxy tag, same as before, so no new tags, nothing changed there. Crit damage 35%, guaranteed dodge 35%, guaranteed crit rate 35%. First two lines are the same, and then say it with me now. The third line only changes by 5%. That's right. They gave her 5% more, I believe, guaranteed crit rate, or is it 5% more dodge? 5% more guaranteed crit rate. Okay. Her leadership is exactly the same, so that doesn't change at all. Her tier 2 passive, I think, is exactly the same as well. They only increase the bonus damage by 10%. Again, it's worth talking this through with you guys because you start to see just how minor these changes are. Her skilled assassin passive doesn't change. It's one of the worst passives for a tier 4 in the game. Hey, but it is what it is. She doesn't get any iframe ignore or counter attack or reflect or ignore iframe, anything like that. Yeah, pretty much it is what it is. Her skills here, 14 seconds, 15 seconds. Same cooldowns as before. She still has So penetration, they moved it from her 4th skill to her 5th skill, but it's still just 60%. The 70% proc is the same as before, and the frenzy buff is only increased by 5%, it looks like. And then her accumulation is the same. They just moved it from her 3rd skill as well to her 4th skill. So they're just playing kind of musical chairs, shuffling things around. And her heal is still 30%. So yeah, nothing really new to report on any of the skills. She still has immunity, except instead of on her 4th skill, it's on her 3rd skill. And then she still has invincibility, I believe, which is 1 second longer on her 5th skill. Instead of 4 seconds, it is 5 seconds. Very exciting there. So yeah, she keeps the burn on her 4th skill. She loses the shock on her 4th skill. They moved it to her 3rd skill. She gains fracture on her 5th skill, which she didn't have before. So she is gaining 1 new ABL ability. And then she's keeping the snare, and she has the paralysis as well. I think the snare may be new as well. Okay, I'll give them that. So it seems like they've given her 2 new ABL abilities, fracture and snare. So she now has all 3 ABL abilities, fracture, snare, and shock. So Gamora, unlike Star-Lord, could now present herself as an alternative, a free-to-play alternative to Luna Snow, given the fact that she has all 3 ABL abilities rather than just 1, and given the fact that she is a speed female hero. She's not human, so she can't cover the human stages because she's an alien, but she is a speed female hero. We should look, quite carefully at Gamora in that case. But yeah, as far as like the kit itself goes, I can't really give them a lot of points because everything is the same besides the ABL cancels, right? Everything is the same. So they're going to have to change the number of hits or increase the damage in the hits and the skills, and the percentages. I don't know. Like, I could tell you that the 5th skill says 120 instead of 100 here. But then the 4th skill says 40, or sorry, well, the 4th skill says 85 instead of 40. So those are pretty big bumps. But then the 3rd skill says 60 instead of 100. So it's difficult to calculate these things sometimes. It does seem like she's going to do more damage. And again, I would like it if she's a replacement to Luna, but I'm also speculating, right? I can't really tell perfectly from the patch notes. It would be really nice if we got a free-to-play alternative to Luna, and I think a lot of people would adopt Gamora for that because she can replace Luna for quite a few days. Not all of them, but quite a few days. We are also getting the uniform collection, so this is it for the Wastelanders. We're not going to see any more lands being wasted. You got Bullseye flying in the background there, so that's cool, the collection. Then we have the update hot deals. So yes, a large part of this patch note coverage is just talking about new sales that they have going on. And keep in mind, these sales end on the 28th. So there's a possibility that the next update is going to be on the 28th or the 29th, right? Like it'll be at night on the 28th into the 29th. In that case, just to give you guys a heads up, I will be away for the first few days of the new update. I was kind of hoping the update would be delayed a little longer. I don't want the update to be delayed because I know these updates, the last month of updates have been kind of boring, but at the same time I'm busy, so like I'm gonna be traveling, so there's nothing really I can do. But yeah, that's just a small heads up. I'll have like a video more carefully outlining things for the channel closer to it. I'm not like, the channel's not going anywhere, I'm just busy. That's all it is. But yeah, just a heads up on that if it is what it is. It might just be that these sales end a week before the update, and then the update's going to be on the 5th, in which case everything is business as usual. Not too much to talk about here. We have the tier 4 individual packs. We have the tier 4 all pack. Some of these are good, to be honest. Can't say much that I haven't already said. 100 million gold pack. The CTP unequip. Obviously, I always get that so I can make content, more easily and more economically, right? Move a bunch of CTPs for free, which is fantastic. You have the Uru unequip 24-hour thing coming back as well. I know a lot of people like that. The mega tier 3 pack, it's kind of whatever. The tier 2 pack's kind of whatever. And then that's it. There are a couple of other events and sales going on. If you go over to the events and sales ongoing, you'll see that there is some new tech here for the whales. There is a 2025 New Year Growth Material Pack where you get a selector for tier 4, tier 3, tier 2, and X-Men materials. You get some tokens if you want to pick up, you know, Sharon's uniform or Rogue's uniform or whatever, and then you get some crystals. This is pretty aggressively priced, so if you haven't already picked up a seasonal uniform for winter and you want to, I would strongly consider something like this. And then we have the CTP pack, which is $10 for a chance to get a brilliant CTP. I think a lot of people are going to jump at this opportunity. It can drop a regular CTP, a mighty, or a brilliant, so the odds are probably going to be heavily skewed towards a regular or a mighty. But then again, we'll have to see what the drop rate is, because for $10 and 1,000 crystals, you're looking at a pretty juicy pack. So I might pick that up myself, just because it's a little bit of, it's like low stakes gambling, right? 10 bucks a pop is not too bad. And then we have the Wastelanders Update Celebration event. So we get our first look here at Gamora and Star-Lord. We're going to see them tonight. It's fine. But yeah, we do get to see them there in better quality. We have the uniformed optionals that are going to be discounted. They're both kind of just okay. To be honest, Star-Lord's actually pretty bad. Star-Lord's is pretty bad. And then Gamora. You know what? They're both bad. Yeah, they're both bad. Yep, they're both bad. They only have, each of them only has one like sort of meta uniform, and then they're bad. They're bad. Jesus. The growth missions, character ranking event. We have the world boss mission event. So this is just like clearing world boss a bunch of times. You get a bunch of rewards. It's quite nice. Again, this one ends on the 28th, so more sort of support that the update is either going to be the next full update with maintenance and whatever with a new theme is either going to be on the 29th or on the 5th of February. We have the gold bonus mission. We have the 7-day check-in with some Gamora bios, and then we have a login thing here, and that's it. So yeah, very, very light on the news here, guys. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Can't stop saying because that's what this last couple weeks in Marvel Future Fighters felt like. You know, they just picked a bunch of boring characters. Not boring characters, but I don't know, man. Hawkeye, Bullseye into Gamora, Star-Lord has to be one of the weakest combos they've made up. I guess they were expecting Sharon and Gambit to carry harder, but then they didn't make Gambit stronger. A lot of people are calling for him to be buffed or reworked because he really only does one thing, which is ABL. You know, I can't really argue yes or no because some characters don't do anything, man. So doing one thing is pretty good. I think it's more a situation where we're hungry for, I guess, rebalancing. So you can see that these characters getting these minor buffs may be rebalancings for them, but because they come in the form of uniforms, it feels kind of bad. I recognize that. Oh man, I'm tripping out. I use this. This is like a graphic that I made. I'm tripping out. This fragment, this shrapnel. I'm tripping out. Anyways, unrelated, but yeah, it just feels like they need to shake something up in the game so that these characters feel more relevant. The issue right now is not that I don't think people are upset that Star-Lord and Gamora are getting reworks. It's more that you can already see where these characters are going to fit into the game, and it's a solved problem. Right? It's a solved situation. It's not a problem. It's not a puzzle. So we need more puzzles in the sense that, for example, they need to introduce a third week of ABX ABL. So there are more opportunities for these lesser characters to get a buff rather than just constantly cannibalizing each other. Right? Like, sure, we're happy that Bullseye finally gets his tier 4. He gets his time, but he's just cannibalizing Gwenpool, and now Gwenpool is useless. Right? But maybe you have situations where you kind of double down where, like, for example, they could start toying with the idea of having very similar days in ABX and ABL. So you have, like, speed villains ABX and ABL on the same day. So you need Gwenpool and you need Bullseye. Or you need Jean and you need whatever. You see what I'm saying? That would be female villain, not speed villain. But you see what I'm saying here? Something like that. Or, again, just expand the list of ABX, ABL days so that more characters can take advantage of it, so that more of these characters feel relevant to the game rather than feeling like they're either small upgrades, they're side grades, or they're just replacing characters who replaced other characters within a few months, and it feels like it's going too fast. I think that's really the issue. I don't think the game is dying. I don't think the game is like, they ran out of ideas. I think they have plenty of ideas. It's just that sometimes their ideas don't line up with what the players are kind of expecting power creep wise. And you can see that in updates like Null and Carnage, where people were so hungry for big meta jumps in PvP that they celebrated those characters so hard. That update was like a huge spike in engagement from the player base, from the community. It was massive, right? I know not every update can be Null and Carnage. I recognize that, and I know most people recognize that as well. But at the same time, having, releasing characters into a game where they have a place to shine is important. And I think the devs need to be more proactive about creating that place to shine and then putting characters there, rather than releasing characters into the darkness where they're just going to languish, and then later on, 6 months from now, when no one cares about these uniforms anymore, then they go, oh guys, we're going to add a new week to ABX ABL. Well, yeah, that's great. It's a little late now, bro. Now people are going to look at these uniforms and say, well, they're 6 months old, right? I could get Gamora's uniform, I could get Star-Lord's uniform, but it's 6 months old. I'm just going to wait until the next uniform. And they know that they can wait because there's always new uniforms being released, always new power creep. So yeah, that's kind of my take on it. I wouldn't be surprised if these are some of the worst selling uniforms of the year. Just straight up. I'll still get them, right? But again, at the same time, I can understand why people are just snoozing on this. I can understand. Anyways, that's my take, guys. I'll see you tonight on the live stream. It's going to be an absolute banger. Thanks so much for watching. Smash the like button if you enjoyed the content, or the thumbs down if you hated it. Take it down a notch. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care.